Hey buddy, Eric with SoloBox, out at the shop today, just finishing up another batch of boxes. I think there's 8 sets. Most of them are inside the house, so I've only got 2 more. I'm finishing welds right now. So anyway, I made a couple of changes here at the shop here recently that I thought I'd talk about. The first change is that I've been welding the boxes up with 30,000th welding wire for, I don't know, almost 10 years now. I had tried 35,000th wire one time when I was still basically really new to welding aluminum. Didn't like it at all, and I'd never gone back to it. Recently, while welding boxes, I was thinking to myself, maybe that thicker wire would push through the weld a little bit more and give me just a little bit more penetration to the inside of the box like this, because this is what you want. You want a nice fat bead on the inside. That's a lot of what makes it remain strong, even though I'm finishing down the weld. So this is an unfinished weld. These are ugly, you know, but in a lot of companies, this is what they would send off to powder coating. I finish my welds. Basically, some other companies do it, like Jesse Boxes. They finish their welds, man, and man, they really build some really awesome boxes, but boy, do you pay for it. So this is a weld that's being finished. Basically, I built this tool a few months ago. Maybe some of you have seen this, but I took this tool and modified it to be able to have this carbide blade on here. And so what I do is I run this over it really quick to knock off most of the high stuff, and then I finish it with a belt sander. But anyway, back to the welding. You know, there's a lot of variables that you have to keep in mind to try to get a really good weld on aluminum. The amount of heat that's going into the metal, how quickly you're moving the gun. Let's see, what else is there? Anyway, basically, to get it just right, you really got to be on your game. And so I switched to the 35, and it's definitely penetrating better. And another thing that's nice about it is that because it's penetrating through better, I can move the gun across the weld much more quickly and still get a good weld, and I'm not putting nearly as much heat into the metal itself. If you put too much heat into the metal, you end up with it starting to warp and stuff. These are all nice and flat. These look really good. And so I do believe that that's what I'm going to be doing from here on out. So just because you've done something for 9 years a certain way doesn't necessarily mean it's right. Here's something else that I've changed. I used to buy belts at Home Depot a long time ago that they don't offer anymore, that they were more expensive, but they sanded better. These actually aren't from Home Depot. I finally have given up. You know what they've done in the name of profit is they've taken what was a really good belt and gotten rid of it, and then they force you to buy the cheaper one, and I'm sure it's because they make more money off of the cheaper one than they did off of the other. And so this is a different type of belt, and I've just gone back to, I think that those old Home Depot belts were made the same way. What this is zirconia, and it's nice and sharp. It stays sharp. The belts are lasting a lot longer too. I've done so far with this zirconia belt, I think I've already done like 6 or 7 boxes, and it's still cutting really nice. This red stuff, which is aluminum oxide, once you finish doing 3 boxes, that's all you get. And when you get into that 4th one, it's so dull that basically you're trying to polish the weld. It's not cutting hardly at all. It'll continue, but it's really slow and time consuming. And the name of the game here is speed. Time is money. And so these belts, for 2 of them, cost about the same as this for 5. But this, you'll actually get more boxes done with this. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back to these. I just couldn't remember. It was so long ago that Home Depot dropped those other belts. I knew that the other belts were better, but I couldn't remember exactly how much better. And so I just today am trying out the zirconia ones again for the first time in literally years. And this is just so much better. Let's see what else has changed here. Got myself a new welding stool. Not sure about this flame job. I'm not much for flames, but it was cheap. I got this at Harbor Freight, and it's doing the job, but I sure wish it was just black. That's kind of lame. I put a TV in, which has definitely boosted morale. I'm now keeping up with all the daytime TV. I know exactly what's going on with Dr. Phil, And so, yeah, if anybody has questions, you can always give me a call. Haven't used the shop radio hardly at all lately. So anyway, bought a new bike. I bought an 1150 GSA, and man, what an awesome motorcycle this is. I just got back from my first trip. I ran down to Oregon, and I did 1,000 miles in like 33 hours. Eventually, I'm going to do an iron, but I've gone down there a couple of times to try to iron out what kind of a route I'm going to take to do that 1,000 miles, and I've got it figured out as to exactly what I need to do. So I need to build some panniers for this thing too. I'll probably sell those off with the frames. I don't see myself really riding the KLR so much anymore, but what a great machine. So that's kind of new. It came with 2 sets of rims too, which is nice because I can have these ones set up with knobbies and the other ones set up with street tires. So that's kind of cool. It came with a whole bunch of extras, an extra final drive, I got an extra pannier for that side. So I got 4 boxes. Bunch of other stuff came with it too. So the one thing it didn't come with that I wish it had is the stock exhaust. This Remus exhaust is super loud. If you don't wear earplugs while you're riding, you'll end up deaf. Got the Olin suspension on it, front and back. It came with the stock stuff too, which as far as I can tell was probably changed out when the bike was basically brand new, because that stuff doesn't look like it's got any use on it at all. And I got a really good buy on this. It's got, see, 65,000 miles on it. But man, what a fun bike to ride. It also came with an aftermarket seat that's got a back support that you can move. Either it can go in here for you or it can go to the back for your passenger. It's a low cut seat, so I don't really care for it. I like the stock one better, I think. But anyway, man, it was just pouring down rain out here earlier this morning. I mean, really, really raining. And so it looks like it's stopped now. It's still really overcast, but at least it's not pouring. So anyway, I'm going to get back to work. I've got 1.5 boxes left to finish, and then I've got to finish the welds on these lids, and then that's all complete, and then I'm going to get into building more windscreen risers for Gen 2 KLRs. So I'll be out here watching Dr. Phil if you need me. Eric with Solobox. Ride safe with everybody.